The safest choice I ever made cost me everything. You spend your whole life thinking you're protecting yourself, protecting your money, protecting your future, protecting your peace. And then one day, you realized you were only protecting your fear. I'm 78 years old, and I'm not here to tell you how much money I lost. I'm here to tell you how much time I lost. Back then, I was careful, responsible, practical. That's what everyone called me. My friend once said to me, "Daniel, you should invest something, even a little." And I remember laughing. Invest? In what? So I can lose it? You see, I grew up watching people struggle. I saw businesses fail. I saw recessions. I saw fear destroy households. So I made a silent promise to myself. I will never lose what I have. What I didn't understand was this. The fear of losing money feels twice as painful as the joy of gaining it. I didn't know psychologists had a name for it. Loss aversion. I just knew the thought of losing $1 hurt more than the possibility of gaining $5 excited me. So I stayed safe. A colleague offered me a chance to invest in a small real estate development. "It's growing fast," he said. I studied it for weeks, analyzed every risk, imagined every possible way it could collapse. And in my mind, I already felt the pain of losing money I hadn't even invested. So I said no. 3 years later, he paid off his house. I congratulated him and told myself, well, at least I didn't lose anything. That was the lie I told myself for decades. At least I didn't lose. Here's what fear does. What if it goes wrong? You hesitate. Then time moves forward without you. Others grow, others build, others compound, and you stand still. Then something worse happens. You begin to feel regret. But instead of acting, regret strengthens the fear. Now it's too late, you say, and the loop continues. Fear, inaction, regret, more fear. That loop quietly shaped my entire life. By my 40s, I had a stable job, a savings account, a cautious plan, but no assets working for me. I watched markets rise year after year. I watched friends build portfolios. I watched small investments turn into something meaningful. And every year I told myself, I'll start next year. But next year always came with another excuse. What if there's a crash? What if I choose the wrong one? What if I look foolish? Here's the truth I didn't admit. I wasn't afraid of losing money. I was afraid of feeling stupid, afraid of being wrong, afraid of regret. So I chose inaction. And inaction felt intelligent. Nobody talks about the cost of not investing because you don't see it. It doesn't show up as a red number in your account. It shows up as nothing, and nothing feels safe. But what I didn't calculate was this. If I had invested even small amounts consistently over 40 years, if I had allowed time to do what time does best, my life would look very different. Not because I'd be rich beyond imagination, but because I'd have freedom. Freedom to retire earlier, freedom to travel, freedom to say no to stress. I thought I was protecting money, but I was sacrificing freedom. One evening, in my late 60s, I sat down with a calculator. I looked at old opportunities, old stocks, old properties, old businesses I was invited into, and I did the math. What even small, steady investing would have grown into. The number wasn't what hurt me. What hurt me was the realization that I had allowed fear to make decisions for me for 40 years. Fear had become my financial advisor, and fear never once told me to grow. It only told me to hide. When you're young, you think avoiding mistakes is wisdom. But here's what I learned too late. Not making a decision is still a decision. Money compounds, but so does fear. Each year you hesitate, fear grows stronger. Each year you avoid action, confidence shrinks, and eventually you don't trust yourself enough to move at all. I thought I was disciplined, but discipline without courage is just disguised insecurity. If you're listening to me right now, I'm not telling you to gamble. I'm not telling you to risk everything. I'm telling you this: start. Start small. Start imperfect. Start scared if you must. But don't let fear convince you that standing still is strength, because it isn't. The biggest risk in life isn't losing money, it's losing decades. I lived a decent life. I paid my bills. I avoided disasters. I survived. But survival isn't the same as growth, and safety isn't the same as success. If I could sit across from my younger self today, I would say, you will make mistakes, and that's okay. Money lost can be earned again, but time lost, time never refunds you. So don't fear investing. Fear the cost of never starting, because one day you may wake up like I did, with money untouched and dreams untouched with it. I didn't lose millions in the stock market. I didn't go bankrupt. I didn't gamble everything away. I was too afraid to invest, and that fear cost me more than any crash ever could. Psychologists say losing $100 hurts twice as much as gaining $100 feels good. I didn't know the term back then. I just knew the pain of losing money felt unbearable. So I avoided it, all of it. 1980s, a friend said to me, "A property listing, cheap prices. This area will grow, trust me." And then I imagined this: market crash, bankruptcy, embarrassment. What if you lose it? Fear doesn't scream, it whispers. It sounds rational. Cut to years later, that same property now worth 10x. I said no and told him I was being smart. Money compounds, but so does fear. Each year I waited, it felt harder to start. I began to believe it was too late. Even the greatest investors made mistakes. Without dramatizing, reference psychological patterns inspired by real investors. Some missed early tech booms. Some sold too early. Some held too long. Some underestimated industries that later exploded. But they acted. They learned. They stayed in the game. I never entered the game. You cannot benefit from time if you refuse to participate in it. It wasn't the money that hurt. It was the freedom I never had. Trips not taken, stress at work longer than needed, opportunities declined. I protected my savings, but I sacrificed my options. The lesson I want you to learn is this: fear is natural, but fear is not a financial strategy. Start small, learn, accept that mistakes are tuition. The market may crash, you may lose sometimes, but time rewards courage far more than it rewards hesitation. If I could speak to my younger self, I would tell him this: you're not protecting your money, you're protecting your fear. And one day, fear will send you the final invoice. Invest wisely, but don't let fear decide your future.